Well, I guess in Chennai, especially at this time of the year, we no longer say warm welcome. It's usually hot welcome, I guess. Good. How many of you have heard this saying called Ati Sarvatra Varjayet? You know the meaning? Ati means extreme or more. Sarvatra means everywhere. Varjayet means we should leave it. Anything, if it goes beyond limits, is not good. That is what the saying says. Ati sarvatra varjayet. Whether it is love, because if it goes beyond a point, it becomes attachment. Yes? Or even law. Law means being very strict. If it goes beyond a point, it breaks relationships. Sweet. If you become too sweet or if you have too much sweet, what will happen? So anything that goes beyond a certain limits is not good. And the same thing goes with our thinking. And in today's world, especially in our country, I would say in the post-independence education, all of you must have done your education. I was even born post-independence, but some of you, even if you are born before that, all of us have done our education post-independence. In post-independence education, one particular aspect which has been completely removed is learning about how our mind works. Did any one of you learn that as a part of your school or college curriculum? We heard from our parents, from our teachers, use your brain, use your mind, calm down, focus, pay attention. But how do we do it? Nobody taught us. Not a single session, not a single training. And when we fall sick, we go and take medicine. We go to the doctor. Yes or no? But as soon as something goes on in our mind, we get really upset. Because that is also like body. Sometimes there will be issues with our mind. We must know how to calm it down. But that knowledge is completely a big zero for most of us, or I would say for all of us. So what we are going to do today is we look at a few very interesting things about how our mind works. What is the mechanism of thinking? And how do we overcome current day's biggest problem of overthinking? Okay, and this is one of those elements which has been completely removed from our post-independence education. Before that, in our culture, if you see, including the name of our country, what's the original name of our country? Bharata. Does anyone know the meaning of what does Bharata stand for? Bha is light. Ratha is one who is moving towards light. Bharata means a land that is always moving towards self-realization. That is why understanding the mind, becoming a master of our mind, has been such an important component of our culture, because we are always knowledge seeking. We always want to realize the self. So a land where every single person seeks self-knowledge is Bharata. Bha means what kind of light? The light of the self. And that is what we completely removed. We reached a stage that we even forgot the meaning of the land in which we are born and brought up. So now is the time for us to revisit some of those principles and see how by practicing those, we can become a master of our own mind. Okay? In between, if you have any questions, you can ask me. So let's start with a couple of minutes of deep breathing. Please sit straight. You can keep all your bags aside. I promise you, nobody is going to take them. You are safe. They are safe. Sit straight. Both feet firmly on the ground. Don't fold your arms. Don't fold your legs. Keep them on your thighs like this. Keep it open. Very good. Now, observe. When we are breathing, don't breathe from your chest. Don't slouch. Sit straight. Yeah. Back well supported. Very good. When we breathe, we usually breathe shallow from our chest, and that's not good. We must learn to breathe from our stomach, what we call as belly breathing. You must have seen kids. When they are sleeping, 2-year-old or 3-year-old, you see how rhythmically the stomach goes up and down? We're going to practice that. Okay? So when I breathe in, my stomach should come in the front. It should expand. The muscle should expand. When I breathe out, the stomach muscles go inside. Okay? Shall we do that? You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable that way. Take a deep breath. Breathe slowly and deeply. As you breathe in, observe the muscles of your stomach expand. As you breathe out, observe the muscles of your stomach contract. Breathe slowly and deeply. Even if your mind goes elsewhere, acknowledge the thought, ignore it, and gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Breathe slowly and deeply. Let go of any tension in any part of your body and relax yourself. Continue to breathe deeply and slowly. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. And gently open your eyes. You feel a little relaxed? Yes? Now the reason. Thinking, breathing, and aging, all the three are very closely related. The faster you think, the faster you breathe. The faster you breathe, the faster you age. In today's times, you must have seen in your families, if somebody is going through a lot of stress and their hair turns gray, they start losing hair and they start looking more old than their chronological age. Reason is, when I think fast, I age fast because the metabolic clock inside the body starts running faster. And the best way to control our thinking is to control our breathing. Because when I breathe slow, have you seen that you also thought slow for those last 2 minutes? That is why this breathing is called as pranayama. Prana means that life force. Ayama has two meanings. One is training, the other one is perspective. So the practice through which you can change your perspective. That is why when we are frustrated, when we think fast, the way we look at things is different. When you are relaxed, the way you look at things is different. Yes or no? That is why it's called pranayama. That means by controlling my breath, I can control my mind. That's the important principle. So if you want to slow down the thinking and relax, the easiest way is to focus on your breathing. And the deeper we breathe, the more oxygen blood is able to take in, and we are able to be more energetic. A lot of us suffer from exhaustion related issues because we don't breathe well. We don't breathe deep. So we need to breathe deeply and slowly. Try that and then try to get angry. It's impossible. It just won't work. That's why when you get angry, you're all elders. What do you tell your kids? Just sit there. Take a couple of deep breaths. It's okay. Just sit down. Because this is the reason. And the faster you think, the faster you breathe, and the faster you breathe, the faster you age. That is why it's very important that we slow down. Slow down. Because nowadays we have people just running around and we don't know why what they are running after. You just have to run. As one of my friends said, Bala, in today's rat race, even if you win, you are still a rat. Right? So why don't we live the life that we want to live rather than getting into the rat race? And when we talk about relaxation, the meaning of relaxation is reducing the speed and the number of our thoughts. And the interesting part is the speed and the number both are very closely related. And here I want to share one very important difference. I see that none of you are carrying your notebook and pen. Our memory is not so great. Trust me. What we are discussing, by the time it becomes 30 minutes, you will forget what we discussed in the first 3 or 4 minutes. But that's fine. We'll share the recording. The difference between relaxation and stimulation is very important. In today's times, whenever you are focused on doing one particular aspect, say you are focused on creating a document, after an hour or hour and a half, you will say, let me relax. And what do? You pull your WhatsApp. You pull Facebook. You pull Instagram. That is not relaxation. That is stimulation. Think less, think slow is relaxation. Think different is stimulation. See the difference? That is why after a couple of hours of surfing of Facebook, do you feel energetic or do you feel frustrated after mindless scrolling? This is the reason. Because it is not relaxing. You are still stimulating. And you can control your mind through your breath. Breathing slowly and deeply reduces the speed and the number of thoughts. They are inseparable. The speed and the number. I can't think slow and think more. Try that. It's just not possible. I can't think fast and think less. Impossible. If one increases, the other one increases. That is why when we reduce one, that is basically when we focus on the speed, when we breathe deeply and slowly, automatically the number of thoughts also comes down. When the number of thoughts comes down, that's when we feel relaxed. That is why in our culture, whenever we sit to start any new task, what are we asked to do first? Right? Either you chant Om, you chant a mantra, all those things are meant to calm down so that you can think slowly and you can breathe slowly and deeply. That's the reason. Now, if you see here, typically when something happens to us, we call that as stimulus. Some action happened and then there is response. We think that the relationship between the stimulus and response is straightforward. She said this, that's why I reacted. He said that, that's why I reacted. We think that the response and stimulus are straight away related. No offense to mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws and father-in-laws here. She did that. That is why I am angry. Ask her not to do it, then I will not get angry. But that is not the case. It's not so straightforward. Because whatever happens, my response is not straightforward. It is always dependent on how I interpret that stimulus. Let me give you an example. There's this father who got into the metro train on a Friday evening with a couple of his kids. And the kids were doing a lot of noise. They were not making people to sit down and take some rest or check their email or have some conversation because they were making a lot of noise. So one of them said, he went to the father and said, "Sir, why don't you control your kids? They're making so much noise. They're disturbing us. We have a long way to go." Then he said, "I'm sorry, sir. I just now heard that their mother met with an accident. She's in ICU. I don't know how to share that with them. So I'm taking them to the hospital now." As soon as they heard this, the complete scene changed. Now everyone started playing with the kids. They wanted to play with the kids. They wanted to make them understand, and somebody was trying in their own way to tell them that what they are going to see at the end of the journey. So the whole thing changed. Kids were still making the same noise. But now nobody is upset. Why? Because how they understood and interpreted that same noise changed. And when that changed, their response changed. So typically when we respond, we think that I am doing it because somebody else said this or did this to me. No, it is because how you have interpreted that what they did, you are creating your own response. So what we talk about stress, it depends not on the event, but on your interpretation of the event. And who is interpreting? I am interpreting. Now that becomes interesting. When I understand that I am interpreting, if one interpretation is causing stress, it means I can change my interpretation and also change my stress. Suddenly I start becoming more powerful now, instead of feeling powerless. We'll share the deck. You don't have to, we'll share the deck. So you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy. And overthinking is because of outdated algorithms running inside our head. Whatever algorithms are running inside our head, whatever interpretations are running, they are all outdated. That is why every single small silly thing stresses us. We tend to overthink, and some of those we will explore. And another very important aspect, if we want to overcome overthinking, is when you engage a thought, that thought becomes more powerful. Suppose say during COVID times, or even now, if you get cold or cough, suddenly you will get a thought, I must have got COVID again. Because I read in China, 65 million people are going to get impacted. 2 weeks ago, I met somebody who traveled from China. That is why I'm getting this cough now. Now, what you are doing, you are engaging that thought. When you engage a thought, it gets empowered. And that is what leads to overthinking. Because you got a thought does not mean it is true. When I simply say this is just a thought, then it becomes powerless. Then it no longer leads to overthinking. And when I ignore it, it makes the thought powerless. So if I want to overcome overthinking, I must learn to ignore my waste and negative thoughts. When I don't ignore them, I empower them. Interesting? When a thought comes, I will simply say this is just a thought, this is not true. And I ignore it and I move on with my life. Then the thought stops bothering me. But when I engage with that thought, why did this come? How did this come? When did this come? Now what will happen? Now what is all this? Engaging that thought. And when I engage the thought, what happens? it becomes more powerful. And when it becomes more powerful, I become powerless. And that becomes overthinking. But as soon as a waste thought comes, if I say this is just a thought, I don't have to worry about it, and I move on to the next thought, what happens? Then all these other associated thoughts, they will disappear. Very important principle. And when I try to detach from the situation, my thinking slows down. Only when I am attached, my overthinking results. That's why we talk about moha, attachment. Nashto moha smritir labda. Why? Because I must learn to detach from a situation. Take a simple example. My kid has gone to write the exam. Who is writing the exam? My kid is writing. But who is getting stressed? I am getting stressed. Now, how much ever you tear your hair, you are not going to write the exam. Your kid only has to write. Whether he will pass or not or fail, you also don't know until the results come. And now, why are you overthinking about it? So when you detach yourself and say, let the result come, we will deal with it, then what happens? Your thinking slows down. But instead, if you are attached to the result, which you cannot control, what happens to your thinking? It increases. Now there are three things: attachment, detachment, and dissociation. In our culture, if you see, one aspect that we are always taught as a part of our culture is learn to be detached. We give the beautiful example of lotus flower. Yes or no? You be in the world, yet be detached from it. Now we don't understand what is the meaning. We tend to dissociate ourselves. There's a big difference between detachment and dissociation. Take an example. If I have a book, okay? If I keep the book here, will I be able to read? Your own book. Can I read? If I keep the book that far away, can I read? Your own book, your own handwriting. But if I want to read, where should the book be? At appropriate distance, I should hold the book. Yes or no? It is still your book. That distance between you and your book is detachment. It is still your book. It is still your baby. It is still your problem. But create that distance. When you create the distance, what happens? Clarity increases. When clarity increases, my decision making improves. Most of the time, when I get a situation, what happened? What will happen? That's it. So I make that situation get attached to me and I lose my capability to think. But if I detach myself, okay, my sugar levels are not normal. Now what should I do? Okay, now my BP increased. Now what is my next step? This is detachment. I am acknowledging it, yet I am not getting overwhelmed because I am creating that distance. That is what we call as detachment. And that is what taught in our culture. Your kid failed. My kid failed. Now what will happen? He may not get this. He may not. It's okay. The fact is your kid failed. Now what next? That is detachment. This is attachment. This is detachment. That is dissociation. It's your problem. You only have to handle it. It's your sugar level. It is your BP. It's your chest that is paining. You only have to handle it. But if you add the fuel of attachment, the situation becomes much worse. But when you detach, it becomes easy. That is why detachment has been given so much importance in our culture. And how do we do that? I'll give you a simple example. So there's this couple that goes on a Saturday evening, they go to a dance floor, they're dancing. And while they are dancing, the fellow dancers, because it is overcrowded like this one, they were stepping over this couple's toes. And after a couple of times, they tell, Sir, you also are enjoying, I am also enjoying. Why are you stepping over my toes? This happens a few times, but still they are stepping over the toes of this couple. So the couple gets irritated, and the guy says, Honey, let's get out of the dance floor. Let's get to the balcony. So when they go to the balcony, they see an entirely different picture. Because on that day, there are more number of dancers than usual. As and when they were dancing, they were moving into the VIP enclosure. And as and when they were moving into the VIP enclosure, the security folks were pushing them inside onto the dance floor. And whenever they pushed, they were stepping over each other's toes. Where was this visible from? Where was this visible from? But when they were on the dance floor, what they were thinking? Stupid dancers, they don't know even to dance, so they are stepping over my toes. When they went to the balcony, what happened? Their perspective changed. Their perspective expanded. Most of the decisions in our life, we make them while we are dancing on the dance floor. Because we are never taught to go to the balcony. We are never taught how to relax. We are never taught how to step back. And if you want to go to the balcony, what is the first thing you should do? What's the first thing you should do? Even before you leave the floor? How will you dissociate? Distance. How? Even before you climb up, what will you do? Realize you are in the dance floor and stop dancing. That's the first thing. Stop dancing. Because all the time we are dancing. We are on the dance floor. And with that limited vision, we want to make decisions. And we blame people. We never move to the balcony. That is what is taught at Brahmakumaris. How can you stop dancing and go to the balcony? Which is so important. And in any given situation, how can I go to the balcony? By first asking, what are the facts in the situation? There are facts in the situation, and there is a story I am telling about those facts. My response is always dependent on the story I am telling myself rather than on the facts. These fellows don't know how to dance. That's why they are stepping over my toes. They are hell-bent on ruining my happiness. This is the story I'm telling myself. And then I get irritated. But when I move to the balcony, I see an entirely different picture because now I am seeing facts, appropriate facts. Suppose I am speaking or you are giving a talk in your office and one of your managers, he walks out. Now the fact is he walked out. You don't know why he walked out. You don't know the reason behind it. Now there is a story that starts. Maybe he didn't like. Maybe what I'm saying is not good. Maybe he will not promote me now. Maybe he won't give me my hike. What is it now? Story. I didn't even speak. I don't even know. See the story? But when I move to the balcony, then I will be in a better position to make a decision. That is what meditation helps. Detach yourself, do some deep breathing, relax yourself, move to the balcony, look at the facts in the situation, look at it from the other person's perspective, and then make a decision. Will the quality of that kind of decision will be better or not? So when I am relaxed, this part of my brain is what I call as thinking brain. What is this one? Thinking brain, which is what helps me to make decisions. And what we call as the prefrontal cortex, PFC. And then there is emotional brain, what I call as amygdala. When I am relaxed, my thinking brain is at its best. But when I get emotional, when I do overthinking, practically my thinking brain gets switched off. And my emotional brain becomes very active. And when emotional brain becomes very active, I won't be able to make proper decisions. Yes or no? That is why we have age-old saying, when you are angry, don't respond. We say that or not? Some of you must be telling your kids also. And we say, when you are happy, don't promise. Yes or no? When you're happy, don't promise. When you are sad, don't decide. This is the reason. That is what science is coming back and telling us. So when I relax, when I detach, when I move to the balcony, I move from this state to this state. Then when my prefrontal cortex, when my thinking brain is active, it is working, then I will be able to make better decisions. But when I'm emotional, when I'm not able to relax, when I'm not able to control myself, the quality of my decisions suffers. That is why how many times we think, I got angry and I blurted something, I should not have said that. Yes or no? This is the reason. Another interesting insight. Negative thoughts are always fast. Negative thoughts are never slow. Because if you get one negative thought, there will be 10 other negative thoughts immediately, they will come after that. And positive thoughts are always slow. We'll try that. Now close your eyes and bless every single person in your home. Just close your eyes, bless them. Just bless. Invoke them in front of you and give whichever way you want to bless them, bless them. Whether it is for their health, for their happiness, for their peace, you can bless all of them. Each one, bring them in front of your mind's eye and bless them with your heart. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. Do you feel anxious or do you feel relaxed? I will not ask you to do the other one. Okay, now you understood. So we won't do this one. We only did this. So that's a very simple demonstration. Because the more we induce the positivity in our thinking, the slower the thought becomes, lesser we think, and more we feel relaxed. Another important principle you will learn at Brahmakumaris. When we think positive, we think less, and we think slow, and we feel more relaxed. When you are generating positive thoughts, you need effort. Yes or no? Just like that, if I sit, I will only get waste and negative thoughts. The amount of energy that is needed to create a negative thought is far less compared with the amount of energy needed for making a positive thought. But the more I practice, the easier it becomes. Even though I spend that energy in creating a positive thought, that positive thought in turn brings me that energy. But a negative thought, it drains me of my energy. It doesn't require much energy, but at the same time, it also drains me. So the energy that I invest in creating a positive thought is returned many times over once I make that thought. That is why you will never feel drained after making a positive thought. And because you put in that effort, you consciously do it, it slows down. Because whenever I'm consciously doing something, I slow down. Whenever I do something mindlessly, it becomes faster. Okay? This is another interesting thing. Whenever you are trying to do overthinking, just ask this simple question. Now you're all seated here. You'll get your dinner also. And sitting here having your dinner, you're not going to prepare dinner to your spouse or to your kids. How much ever you think, how much ever vibrations you send, cooker will not get on there. Dinner will not be cooked. Is there any need to think about that future? You made a decision, you came here, so focus on the present. When I allow my mind to get into the past or future, my thinking increases. You know the reason? Because neither can you control the past nor you control the future. And when you are thinking about it, you are trying to control it. Because you are not able to control, you get frustrated and think more. Very simple. So when you think about present, that will never become overthinking. If you're not feeling good, most of the time it is because you are living in the past. If you are feeling anxious, what will happen? Then you are living in the future. If you are at peace, then you are living in the present. Very simple. For the next 1 hour, you're going to be with us here. So you tell yourself, just focus on what Bala is speaking. Tomorrow morning's breakfast, I'll figure out after going home. I have to buy vegetables. On my way home, I will buy vegetables. But for now, just listen. But sitting here, if you're worried about vegetables, you will spoil that also and you will spoil this also. It's very simple. So live in the moment. All Swiggy, good for you. This is what the great philosopher, Greek philosopher Seneca has to say. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. We think a lot unnecessarily. And another important principle is any change causes uncertainty. And brain dislikes uncertainty, which is what leads to overthinking. Any change. That is why we like to be in our comfort zone. Any small change, it leads to overthinking because our brain dislikes uncertainty. We want it to be certain. For example, if this talk, we said it's going to start at 5. Instead, if we were to give, it may start at 5. Then what will happen? We may give dinner. We won't say we will give dinner. We'll say we may give dinner. Then what will happen? Whether they are going to give, not give, should I go, not go, should I cook and go, should I not cook and go, because I said may give dinner. So that uncertainty is never good for the brain. Then you would say, damn it, they could have told us not give dinner, then I would have come back half an hour before. Such a nice topic, and now I am confused. Should I go or not go? Should I cook or not cook? I cook and then they give dinner, it gets wasted. I don't cook and they don't give dinner, I'll feel hungry. So they could have said, if they are so busy, they can simply say, I will not give dinner. Problem solved. Because that is certain. Any uncertainty leads to overthinking. So ask yourself, whenever overthinking is happening, what is it that you are trying to control? What is it that you are worried about? So do you want your mind to be like a jungle with weeds? Anyone? Do you want your mind to be like this? You sure? Sure? And you want it like this? Anyone? Yeah. All of us? Yes? So that's a beautiful miracle garden in Dubai, in the middle of the desert. Just those of you who are interested in knowing. All of us want our mind to be like this. None of us want it like this. Yes or no? Clear? Little louder, please. Yes. Very good. Oh, that's important. You don't need to do anything. They'll grow on their own. Now ask yourself, if you want your mind to be like a garden, how many minutes a day are you spending to maintain that garden? That gardening is what is taught at Brahmakumaris. How do I garden and remove the weeds and plant some good thoughts so that I can generate beautiful garden inside my mind? And for that you will need time. How many of you own cars or scooters? Almost all. Now, if you go to, all of you give your vehicles for servicing. Now suppose say, you go to a servicing station and you tell him, sir, I am very busy. I will keep driving, you keep doing your servicing. What will that fellow tell you? Sir, exactly. Sir, either you are mad or you are thinking that I am mad. Otherwise, how can you keep running a vehicle and then expect it to be serviced? So if you want to give it for servicing, you should stop driving it. You bring it to the servicing center, then I will service it. So if you want your mind to become like a garden, then you bring that mind to the servicing center. Don't say I don't have time. If you don't bring your mind to the servicing center, how will your mind get serviced? How will you create a garden? Then you continue with your weeds. Then you will continue to think, I don't have time. I am frustrated. Who will help me? Then you will go for some drinking, smoking, movies, mobile. They won't help. Because that vehicle will keep making sounds, it will keep giving smoke. Because you never serviced it. Right? So garden needs maintenance. And what thoughts we create on a daily basis, that is what results in a weed or a garden. Very important. It's okay, Bala. Once a month I will come for 10 minutes. That's the only time I have. Okay. Rest of the 29 days and every day for 24 hours or even 18 or 19 hours, whatever time you are awake, you want to make waste thoughts. For those 10 minutes you want to come here because that's the only time you can spare, and then you expect a beautiful garden to come out. Will it happen? And what you talk with yourself waters this weed or garden. Because all the time we are speaking with ourselves, whether we are aware or not. And when we don't control that self-talk, that is what creates a lot of unnecessary stress. When a waste thought comes, we have to stop it. You say, that's not true. It's just a thought. I'm not going to think more about it. That is the kind of self-talk we need to have. How are we going to change? Let's take some example. Oh my God, it's the same project again. Last time I goofed up. I'm sure I'll fail again. By default, this is the kind of thought we get. Because that's why it is default. But it is negative. Now, who is creating that thought? I am creating. If I am the creator, then can I not change it? But I need to remember that I am the creator. That's what you are taught here as a part of Rajayoga meditation. So how can I change the thought? Because I am the creator, can I not change it like this? I have the power. It's just that I'm not remembering it. But if I train myself, can I not change my thought like this? When I change my thought like this, what happens to my mind? It relaxes or becomes anxious? Next, it is better for me to avoid facing many of life's difficulties than to risk failing or being rejected. Instead, if I replace it, if I fail or get rejected, I will accept myself and choose to see myself the way God does. Now, the interesting part about this self-talk is your project is not changing. You don't know what questions will come in your exam. You haven't yet written it. But by changing how you are thinking about the exam, you can change your motivation level. You can increase it or you can decrease it based on negative self-talk or positive self-talk. And when I switch to positive self-talk, my motivation level increases. When my motivation level increases, my effort increases. When my effort increases, the chances of me actually succeeding increase. Now, who is doing all this? I am doing it. This is irrespective of what questions are going to come in the exam. See the beauty. That means I have the capability to increase or decrease my motivation based on what kind of thinking I am doing, what kind of conversation I am having with myself. If that conversation is positive, I feel empowered. If that conversation is negative, I feel disempowered and I will not even venture to do that task. Take an example. You are invited for this kind of a talk. We keep hearing so many, Bala. What are you going to get? If you make that thought, will you have that motivation to even come out, walk, and come here? You killed it. It's not that you can't. It is just that you don't want. But if you say, okay, whatever time is there, let me spend, there's a chance of learning something interesting, then what happens to your motivation level? Then the chances of you coming in will increase. When you come in here, the chances of you learning will improve or not. That is the power of that self-talk. Someone or something is making me feel depressed, utterly miserable. If only this boss changes. If only. My life would be so beautiful. If only my daughter-in-law listens to me. She just doesn't. In her own world, this generation gap is literally killing us. If only she listens to me. Because someone or something is making me feel depressed, utterly miserable. Instead, if I change it, think about this. Those of you who have a notebook, you can make a note and reflect on this. No one on the face of this earth can make me feel inferior without my permission. My emotions are the result of my choices. Yeah, let me give you an example. I tell my team members, you are free to call me an idiot. You can say, Bala, you are an idiot. They can come and tell me. Now I have two choices. I can sit and sulk, I can say, you called me idiot. I've been helping you so much. Why did he say that? He has no respect for me. I will make sure how he will progress. But he has removed all my respect in front of my colleagues. I can have this kind of thoughts. Yes or no? Now, the other way is, I can tell him, that's your opinion. You calling me an idiot is your opinion, and I don't have to agree with your opinion. You show me the data, then we can discuss. Same stimulus. Same stimulus. If I feel bad and if I agree with what you are saying, only then I will feel bad. You see the interesting thing? When somebody comes and tells me something, only if I agree with what you are saying will I feel sad, bad, mad. But if I don't agree, there is no emotion, right? I have a choice to agree or disagree. You called me an idiot. I have a choice whether to accept it or not. If I accept it, I am making a choice to accept it. I feel bad. But if I make a choice to not to accept, and your name, sir? Suresh. Suresh. Suresh, that's your opinion. Then what happens? I will leave it there. I'm not even worried. But if I accept what you are saying, if you tell me, Bala, you are an idiot, and I agree with it, then I will keep sulking over it. Why did he say this? He has been working with me for so long. He should not be saying this. If he is upset, he should have come to me and then spoken with me. He can't say this in front of so many people. I am so senior. I am so knowledgeable. I am the one who trained him. Now you see. It's your choice. If you think keeping quiet is what helps you remain calm, keep quiet. If you can't, then you say that it's your opinion and walk away. I'll give you another example. Very simple one. This will help you understand. Buddha every day used to go to collect alms. Bhiksha. There is this old lady, every day she used to curse him. Every day she would not give a single morsel of food, but every day she would curse. But he would remain very calm and just move on. He would listen, but he would move on. Then one day she got so frustrated because she's not getting the response. She stops him and she asks him, are you stupid or what? Every day I'm cursing you, there is no reaction. Then he calmly looks at her and he says, if you give me something and I don't accept it, to whom does it belong? She says, are you stupid? It belongs to me only. That's what I do. And then he moves on. Correct. Correct. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Did I say easy in the last 1 hour? I said it is simple. I never said easy. We mistake those two. Yeah, the second one is, if I fail or get rejected, I will still accept myself. That means if I fail, I will not tell myself that I am a failure. Is there a difference? I failed versus I am a failure. I failed means I did not succeed in this attempt. I am a failure means I will never succeed. I will still accept and I will say, okay, I will see the way God looks at me. If God were to come in front of you and then look at you, what would he look in you? Will he look at all the negatives and tell you, you are like this, you are like this, you are like this, you are like this? Or will he look at only positive things? Otherwise, we wouldn't call him God, right? There's no difference between him and somebody else. So I would choose to see myself the way God does, so that I can focus on my positives, motivate myself, and try to qualify next time. Okay? So how do we change what we are talking with ourselves, because most of the time that is what leads to overthinking. It's very simple. There are 5 Ds. The first D is detect that this is a waste or negative thought. Most of the time we are not even aware, we don't even detect. So first thing is to detect, become aware. Second is to detach. I don't agree. Just detach. Third is disrupt. Stop there. Stop. Don't allow it. Just stop. And dispute. If you get a thought that you are a failure because you didn't pass this exam, then you dispute. There are so many exams you already passed in your life. How can you say you can never pass? So you dispute. If you get cold and cough, you don't have to get carried away saying that I have got COVID, now I will die. No, it's a waste thought. Dispute. You only got cold and cough. Did you do your RT-PCR? Did you lose your taste? Did you go to a doctor? You dispute. You ask for data. When you start doing it with your own thoughts, that negativity reduces. When that reduces, what happens? You start feeling more relaxed. And then you design. You consciously create positive thoughts. Because if we just sit there, we only get waste and negative thoughts. Instead, you consciously design positive thoughts. That is when the overthinking reduces. So if I want to change my self-talk, I use these 5 Ds. Detect, detach, disrupt, dispute, and design. So this art of thinking is what we need to learn. And as I said in the beginning, this is what we are not taught. And that is where the meditation centers like Brahmakumaris help us learn this art of thinking. Because that ability to become a better thinker is the foundation for a happy, healthy, and prosperous life. Because for everything, that thought is the foundation. If I am in control of my thinking, if I can make it more positive and powerful, then it becomes easy for me to do and become more successful in my life. If I am not able to control those thoughts, then the foundation itself is not there. Then how can you build an edifice or the building? And positive self-talk empowers and relaxes us by giving more clarity. Now, how do we use this positive self-talk? Suppose, say, you are asked to complete a report, which is boring. It will take a couple of hours. Now you start writing, start preparing the report. Then suddenly you will get this waste thought. What kind of stupid life is this? Every week I have to prepare this stupid report to this boss. When will this fellow go? When will I get relieved from this? When will I start enjoying my life? Okay, and you start self-pitying yourself. When you make that kind of negative self-talk, what happens to your energy levels? That's why it's called negative, because it is subtracting. Instead, if I sit there and then I want to complete the task, I can change my self-talk. I can say, Bala, you're getting paid. You're not doing for charity. You only have to do it. Don't unnecessarily self-pity and waste your time. Nobody is going to come and help you because this is your job. Sit and complete. It's going to take 2 hours. Sit and do it. You chose to cook the breakfast. Sit and cook. Finish. Don't keep saying 30 years I have been cooking, 30 more years I have to cook. Nobody comes to help me. Nobody cuts vegetables. Relax. You chose to cook the breakfast. Shut up and cook. Finish it. So when I have this positive self-talk, then a lot of my energy no longer gets wasted. Then I can finish my job. Now you see how by just changing what I am telling myself, I can bring down or up my energy levels. And it has nothing to do with breakfast. It has nothing to do with report. It has nothing to do with people around me. That is why it said, I create my own world. I create my own world. And sometimes we fall into what are called as these thinking traps. Let me give you an example. Most of the times, without even waiting for the situation to complete, we jump to conclusions. I'll give you a situation. You are working with the same manager for the last 10 years, and your desk or your seat is just outside his office. Every day, when he goes into his office, your manager greets you, smiles at you, and goes into the office. This is the ritual which is going on for last 10 years. But on that particular Monday, he neither greeted you, nor did he smile at you. He just walked into his room. That's all he did. What are the facts in the situation? He didn't smile at you. Okay? And then he sends you an email. Once he goes inside, in a couple of minutes, you get an email. Bala, come and meet me. You heard last week in the cafeteria, you overheard somebody saying that now the company is not doing well, so they will start firing people. So you will say, if I lose my job,